All right, Bills Mafia, we got our 2020 draft video coming at you. We got reaction from my brother Jake, along with a lot of great insight, great analysis, and even live reactions from draft night. So make sure you stay tuned for the whole thing. Like, subscribe, and comment your opinion of the Bills draft below. So let's go.
Welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports. I'm Trent with my co-host Jake.
I think that is sort of his defining game as a QB.
I just have to say, never go all in on the Raiders ever.
I thought overall this was a great draft for the Bills. I think they addressed a lot of needs. It wasn't a lot of flashy, big, sexy picks like you may have wanted. You know, they didn't go after a top receiver. However, they got, I think, a few good ones that will fit right in the system, exactly what they needed. We alluded to it in our pre-draft video, just saying they need to address, especially on the D-line, they need a receiver and running backs. And then we also said cornerback, which they addressed later in the draft. So what's your initial thoughts on how you think the overall draft went for the Bills?
I thought in the whole NFL they had one of the top drafts for sure.
Yeah.
I think they addressed like positions that are like they have guys there, but you know, they want competition. Something that'll have some guys competing for spots, which is always makes every player on the team better, which is good. So
and we talked about it in the preview that this wasn't going to be we weren't going to get a guy who's going to be, you know, a starter because we have our roster pretty much filled out. This guy is going to be really crucial. The guys that we drafted are going to be really crucial when they're called upon, and they're going to have to make big plays and make the most of their opportunity. So let's kick it off talking about their first round pick, Stefon Diggs.
Yeah.
Who I mean, we can't talk about the draft without saying that the Bills technically selected Stefon Diggs, you know, in the first round.
Exactly.
Use their draft capital. Sitting there at 22, I mean, he was by far the best option, but I think you can't argue that he wasn't the best option right now out of any receiver in that class.
Yeah, I mean, so just in perspective, the Vikings got rid of him. Stefon Diggs doesn't even have that bad of a contract. Like,
right.
It's a contract we could definitely manage. So they're losing a prime receiver and getting Justin Jefferson. So, like, let's look. Would we have drafted Justin Jefferson at 22 as opposed to having Stefon Diggs with not that bad of a contract? I mean, it doesn't add up. You know, the Bills definitely got the upper hand on that one for sure.
I mean, that wide receiver room, especially with Stefon Diggs, is going to be dynamic. They have a lot of different ways they can attack a defense. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how Josh Allen meshes with all those guys.
Bills have so many options. The pick is in. Who are they going with? Pick is in. They have so many options. They have whoever they want. You go running back. You get J.K. Dobbins, or do you get A.J. Epenesa? You go Christian Fulton, cornerback out of LSU. I think that's probably a good bet.
With the 54th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select A.J. Epenesa.
D-end Iowa. All right, we get our edge player.
Epenesa goes to what is already going to be a very, very.
I like it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.
First five-star.
I mean, not a fast defensive end, but more of a power guy, a little slower, but you know, I think we can work with him. I mean, we needed that edge rusher. I think that was what the Bills really prioritized in the offseason. So this should be a good pick.
I like that. We address edge. We need an edge player as much as J.K. Dobbins is enticing. We go with Epenesa. He fell really far. I'm surprised we could get him. Brandon Bean, you're a wizard.
Okay, so we talked about Stefon Diggs, but their first actual pick was second rounder, 54, A.J. Epenesa, D-end out of Iowa. He is 6'6", 280 pounds. He's not necessarily a speed guy, but he is a big guy who can stop the run and get after the passer, more of a power style guy. I thought, like you said in the beginning, he was initially, you know, first round. He had a first round grade on him. A lot of people even projected him to the Bills at 22. So to get him at 54 is it's huge. We got so much value with that pick. And this is a guy who's, like we said, he's going to come in. He's not probably going to start, but he's going to make impact plays anytime he's on the field.
Yeah, I mean, that picking him at 54, it solidified how good Bean's plan was. I mean, it just made the Stefon Diggs trade look 10 times better. We basically just got a first rounder at pick 54. He's going to rotate in on the line, and that's going to give a huge advantage to us, just having guys rotate in who are more fresh and everything for this upcoming year. For sure.
You can never have enough pass rushers, and I think addressing the edge position was huge. And I mean, this guy, he played in the Big Ten, Power 5 conference, but he put up really good numbers sack-wise. He had a lot of production. In 2019, he had 11.5 sacks, and the year before that, his sophomore year, he had 10.5 sacks.
He's like the first 5-star recruit to go to Iowa, and there's just something different about Iowa linemen. I mean, they're just nasty. They're big guys. So think about he's going up against great competition every day in practice. And in the Big Ten, I arguably think they have the best linemen come out of the Big Ten. Just because there's so much ground and pound and just nastier guys, I think.
I see him being a backup like he has a lot of potential, especially with Jerry Hughes getting a little old. So I feel like AJ Epenesa could follow in Jerry Hughes' footsteps, and by the time AJ is ready, he would be a beast. Alongside Ed Oliver and Trent Murphy and Mario Addison. And Brennan Butler, they could be fun stuff.
They got great rotation on the D line, and I think he adds a powerful physical pass rusher that they, I guess, lost with Shaq Lawson.
Garbage plate in hand. Shout out Rock. Shout out the garbage truck. Zack Moss. Give me Zack Moss.
Zack Moss, running back, Utah.
Woo!
Well, we just talked about Jonathan Taylor being an uber productive running.
Give me that.
You could
Come on, Zach.
For Zack Moss.
So let's move on to their third-round pick, 86 overall, Zack Moss, running back out of Utah. I know I'll show the clip right now of before the draft. You wanted a bruiser.
So I really think we get a guy who's Marshawn-like and in the way he runs. Back when we drafted Marshawn, big guy, big back, somebody who's going to run north and south, because we know Singletary is really good with the inside-outside cuts, really shifty.
Boy, did we get a bruiser. This dude is a tank. He's like 5'9", I think like around 225. But if you haven't watched his highlights, you need to go watch them because they are incredible. The guy doesn't go down without a fight. He's looking to truck everybody in sight. And he had great production, again, like Epenesa. Great production out of Utah.
Like we definitely talked in the pre-draft video. One-cut guys. That was what I was really looking for, the bruiser. And this guy, if you watch his tape, I mean, he makes one cut and he's running over people. I'm pretty sure there's a quote out there where he said, "I'm looking for contact," to be honest with you.
Yeah, he said in the Bills Zoom call with him, and he said he wants to make defenders make business decisions anytime he touches the ball.
That's what I love.
I love that quote, and that's the kind of guy that I want. I mean,
and this works out perfect. You got your one-cut bruiser, and then you got Devin Singletary, who's just so elusive and shifty. So it's just like that tandem of backs that will complement each other for everything. It's going to be nice having Zack Moss on the field on those third and shorts or any short play goal line plays, and he's just going to run guys over.
I think that's how they'll primarily use him, especially his rookie year, as that third and short guy, third down guy, goal line guy. And think of the upgrade there from Frank Gore to Zack Moss, who obviously has way more burst at this point in his career. Physical, way more physical. Zack Moss adds such a dimension in a physical, ground and pound game where I think, especially come December in Buffalo, when it's cold outside and, you got defenders, they don't want to hit.
Miami coming up to
Buffalo. You got Miami coming up to Buffalo in December. They're not going to want to tackle Zack Moss running full steam ahead, looking to just plow their necks off.
Zack Moss can do a lot. Zack Moss could be a power runner. He's fast. He brings a lot of value to the Bills' rushing unit. I think with Devin Singletary and Zack Moss could be like the new Alvin Kamara, or used to be the new Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram.
I like that prediction.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
And Jake, you texted me about Zack Moss. You said that he reminded you of Mike Tolbert. So what do you mean by that? And what are the similar traits between the two?
I meant that by that, like, Zack Moss is a big dude, over 200 pounds. I think he's 5'10". I think that Mike Tolbert was a beast. He would truck a lot of people. So I think Zack Moss could do that and bring more to the table.
I agree.
So I think he could.
And you know why I love that so much that you said that? Because Tolbert was obviously a Carolina guy. And I really think that the Bills and Brandon Beane had that same mindset. Like, we got to get a bruiser like Mike Tolbert, like we had in Carolina for the Bills and Devin Singletary. So I thought that was a great analogy.
Coming out of college, he had 28 receptions and 388 yards and 2 touchdowns last year. Yeah. So that, I mean, not big numbers receiving, but like that's something you can work with. Yeah. I mean, it's not like something that's unnatural. I mean, coming on that bloodline with NFL receivers, I mean, obviously he's going to have some skill catching the ball.
On day 3, they started off with getting Gabriel Davis, wide receiver out of UCF. This guy is 6'2", 6'3". He can go up and get it. I saw a lot of people saying he plays bigger than he actually is. He's a high point guy, has decent route running and, can always improve. But he had, again, and I'm noticing a trend with all their picks. They all produced very highly at their senior years and last season. So this guy had 72 catches, 1,241 yards, and 12 touchdowns. He was averaging 17 yards a catch. So that just goes to show you
ridiculous.
That's a deep, down the field kind of guy, which is exactly what we wanted for Josh Allen.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. I think I know he kind of looks like him, but like he reminds me of Jarvis Landry a little bit. Like he just makes the big plays. Like he's not obviously not going to be our primary receiver, but he's that guy. Like 17 yards per play is actually insane in college. I mean, he threw up some ridiculous numbers. So getting a guy who's not afraid to go up for the ball is freaking awesome. That was one of the things we wanted pre-draft was a guy going up for the ball.
I think route running is probably, at least initially, seeing reports was his biggest concern. But what better, room that you can learn route running with than Stefon Diggs, Cole Beasley, and John Brown. I mean, those guys all run great routes. Yeah. So if he can add that, he has a lot of potential. And I saw on his Twitter, 30 minutes after getting drafted, he was outside running routes.
Working, yeah.
He was working, and I like that work ethic. All right, so moving on to the Bills' 5th-round pick. This one was a surprise. We were texting back and forth all draft and saying, Jake Fromm's falling, he's falling. And then, surprise, the Bills pick him with the 167th pick overall. Jake Fromm, quarterback out of Georgia. Another guy who has great production. Highly productive. Was winning a lot of games at Georgia. Remember, I believe it was his freshman year, the championship game against Alabama, where Tua Tagovailoa came in the second half and beat them. Otherwise, he would have been a national champ. I think his knock and why he fell was his arm strength. He didn't have the best combine and lacks the arm strength that someone like Josh Allen has, but makes up for it in decisiveness, reading defenses, and being accurate with the ball, which is totally different than Josh. But I think for a backup quarterback would be great.
Yeah, he doesn't have the God-given abilities that some quarterbacks have, like Josh, with athleticism and arm strength, but he has all the intangibles when it comes to his work ethic, his mental agility, his awareness, and everything. Like he's got that going for him. I mean, let's look at 2018. The guy, he was 67% on his throws at almost 2,800 yards and 30 TDs and only 6 interceptions, and he was 171.3 rating. And that's in the SEC against the best competition every year. You see how many SEC guys got drafted this year. Just total league of just full of pros, and he's doing that. And you just got to think like he is going to be a great backup to Josh and or like competition to Josh. You never know. Yeah. But part of me thinks that we chose him here so that the Patriots. There's a little conspiracy so that the Patriots couldn't draft him.
I would agree.
Get him. don't want the enemy to have the asset, so we take them ourselves. You'd much rather see a team have invest in a good backup, as we saw in the playoffs this past year with Carson Wentz getting hurt, and they played Josh McCown, a 40-year-old in the playoffs, and it was like, if you had any other backup, you might have won. But like having a ready backup is huge in the NFL now. So I think this was a underrated pick, but I think it overall is going to be a good investment.
He definitely upgrades our backup quarterback room.
Yeah.
Over someone like Matt Barkley, who's getting older, and frankly, the time that he had to play last year just didn't
look too good.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like I was just surprised that he was still available. Now, he's a pretty good backup, and even, I mean, if he could beat out Josh Allen for the starting job, I would be surprised, but he could.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's two ways you could go with this. Josh Allen could be motivated and beat him and start getting really good, using his confidence.
Yeah.
Or Josh Allen would get in a lot of pressure and then make the Bills season go downward.
And then we might see Jake Fromm sooner than we expected. Tyler Bass, kicker out of Georgia Southern. He was Mel Kiper's #1 kicker in the entire draft. The Bills took him in the 6th round. Last year, he was 20 out of 28, kind of questionable with the accuracy, but he has a boot. I watched a couple videos of him, and the ball just flies off his foot.
Yeah.
And
you'll see this video that we're going to put in here of him one-stepping a 50-yard field goal and two-stepping a 60-yard field goal. It's actually kind of insane.
It wasn't even that. It was a no-step and a one-step.
Yeah, exactly. Like that is ridiculous.
I mean, it's absurd. So I think he'll really push Stephen Hauschka for that roster spot. I don't think you draft the best kicker in the draft to cut him. Like I think there's going to be legitimate competition. Personally, if I had to put, if I had to project, I would say he probably makes the team over Hauschka at this point.
Yeah.
I just feel like Hauschka's definitely lost a step.
Yeah. With a guy this like a leg like that, it just takes so much pressure off the offense. You don't need to always finish drives as far down as you need to, and that'll help us,
more points.
Run.
It'll help us get more points.
Hauschka's accurate, but you saw at the end of the year, he was barely making 40-yard field goals.
Right, and I think the Bills were hesitant a couple times, more than a couple times, to bring him out for, say, a 50-yard field goal, and instead they were going for
the playoff game. That was the perfect example. He
did make his kicks that he had, but they definitely they didn't bring him out for it was definitely over a 50-yard field goal.
His confidence definitely was shook after the Cowboys game when he made the extra point and was like, thank God.
Yeah.
It was like, geez, you got some confidence issues.
And hey, if at the end of the day, if Hauschka beats him out and earns the spot, then more power to Hauschka. Hopefully that gives him a little confidence boost. Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver out of Oregon State, was their 6th round pick, another 6th round pick. This guy's 6'4". Like we said with Gabriel Davis, I think he adds a dimension that the Bills didn't have. Huge target. That is, what we wanted with for Josh Allen, and again had tremendous production last year in the Pac-12. 86 catches, 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns.
Like I said with Gabriel Davis, going up for balls, having a 6'4" guy just is awesome.
It's a QB's best friend right there.
Yeah.
7th round, they went with a cornerback. Finally addressed the cornerback. Dane Jackson out of Pittsburgh. I saw some good things from him. I think they're expecting him to maybe compete for that nickel spot. The same thing with pass rushers. You can never have enough DBs. We were thinking maybe they were going cornerback earlier to actually compete for that 2nd spot. I don't know that Dane Jackson does that, but maybe just add some depth and solidifies that, hey, I think Josh Norman is going to be the cornerback for this year.
I was a little surprised that they fell to the 7th round to draft a corner. I thought they probably would have done it a little bit earlier, but.
All right, so that's going to do it for this video. Bills had a great draft, I thought, overall. Addressed a lot of needs and filled they went with their gut. Brandon Beane went with his gut. He always says the best player available, and maybe some surprise picks with Fromm and the kicker or whatever. But I really think they addressed what they had to and are putting themselves in a great spot going into 2020.
Yeah. When we had Doug Whaley, I questioned every pick. Right. So far, Brandon Beane I've trusted him on what he values.
All right, so that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit us up on social media at Amateur Hour Sports. Let us know your thoughts on the Bills draft below, and we'll see you in the next video.